we're delving deeper into my research on what the future holds for us and what careers are going to evolve. I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Gustavo Ghory. He's joining us from Switzerland. He has over 35 years of experience in the consumer goods industry, bringing back unparalleled expertise in supply chain management. His extensive background encompasses operations, innovation, logistics, and work systems. He has led both global and regional operations across multiple business units at Procter & Gamble, where he spent a resplendent 3 decades, and has also led disciplines of supply chain operations, planning, and global manufacturing. In 2017, he co-founded SmarterChains, a Swiss technology platform that helps manufacturers drive margin improvement and customer centricity with the adoption of new Industry 4.0 technologies. In my brief conversation with him, he comes across as extremely affable, knowledgeable, and willing to collaborate. I think all skills that he's garnered over his years of experience as a leader. So thank you, Mr. Gustavo, for your time, and I truly appreciate you having this conversation with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me to participate.
All right, terrific. So, Mr. Gustavo, as we started to write this book, from where you sit today as the co-founder of this organization, why are you thinking about the future? Why is it important to factor in what's going to come in the future? You have a 4.0 technology outlook. Why are you thinking ahead?
It's a great question to start the conversation today. But it is part of me, maybe because of my background and industry experience. But along the way of this more than 40 years career, I have internalized a few important learnings and some, let's call it concerns, areas of focus that my mind spends time on. And some of them are geared to the future. I really believe, history has proven to us that along the way of prosperity and progress, and historically, there is a strong correlation between the progress on the societal, socioeconomic status and prosperity in general, along the way with prosperity and evolution and improvements and growth in the industrial area. So, I mean, we have 4 revolutions going on in the industry, and every one of them has brought some concerns and some answers, but always at the end of them, or along the way, because they never finish, quite frankly, we see societal contributions from the industry and also creation of new problems. So those problems need solutions in the future, and the societal effects that are in general relatively positive, I would say. So
you're saying every revolution came and it left certain contributions and certain challenges.
That always prosperity is being in progress.
Okay, terrific.
Always. So if you look at, you mentioned before in our pre-interview, you mentioned a bit about globalization. Globalization can be criticized on many fronts. Some regions of the world were forgotten or didn't participate or play or didn't have the positive impact that was expected. But in general terms, these last few decades, where we see globalization being a big play, we saw a lot of progress globally, and this can be proven with numbers and mortality, GDP growth, elimination of poverty. There is a lot of indicators that will tell us that globalization has made a good contribution. However, it hasn't answered all the questions we have, and some other geopolitical movements have made us believe that we better move towards a different setup. Should we go towards fuel protectionism on a country basis, or what? But the point I'm trying to make with the original question is that I see progress, societal progress and prosperity, a lot connected with industrial progress. Okay. And because of that, we cannot stop thinking about what is next, especially in my area of expertise. What is next in supply chain? What is next in the industry? that will continue driving and improving the defects that we created and the problems that we have, solve those problems and continue contributing to prosperity in society. So it is almost an obligation after 40 years of experience that I think about that and I propose ideas towards that. And that's why I use most of my time in the last few years thinking about and trying to pass to young people my thoughts on this area, hopefully seeding in their mind the idea that they have an obligation to continue driving prosperity globally. There's not a selfish play.
Oh, great. So you look at it more as a responsibility, a social obligation, wherein you want to think about the future and sort of figure out what next and what sort of innovation is going to come through in the next. Okay, great. Let's go back to your conversation on globalization. Very fascinating, especially in the context of supply chain management. Can you share with us what is going on in the current landscape and where do you see this landscape shifting to? Because the book is on the future. So a study of the past is always helpful, but where do you see this moving to? What are you sort of seeing as emerging power centers? Is the China manufacturing story still going to be around the next 5 or 7 years? Are these borders being formed by countries where they say, now in India, they say make in India, there's more protectionism coming up. So is that going to play what is going on? You're the expert in this.
Well, I wish I would be a real expert on the totality of this major scenario that we are facing today, because there are many areas. Even though I dedicated a lot of time of my life to work supply chain capabilities and manufacturing capabilities, operational capabilities, I certainly am not an expert in some areas that influence the decisions of leaders towards where we're going with the industry. There are a few things that are very clear to me, but let me continue on the scenario of what's happening. What's happening is that the global order is changing. And with that change, some agreements and treatments are going to be fading out, and some of them will be, some new will come. And with that will come new alliances and new opportunities for some countries and less for others. And there will be a reshuffling of all this power and supply power and supply opportunities, which also bring along development, innovation, et cetera, et cetera. So, and the direction seems to be that while we have China and the US having a conflict for a fight of power, internal problems pull these two countries to internal issues, but at the same time they have a big presence globally, and the United States continues, at least at this stage, at this very point in time, fighting for leadership global, which could be in jeopardy depending on the results of the elections elected this year in the United States. But China has been for decades in this drive to, okay, we will be more dominant than we have been so far globally. So what is going to happen in view of this reshuffling? In view of this reshuffling, some people are, of course, considering protectionism as a solution. And whatever was out, I will bring in. But in my opinion, a very humble opinion on my side, I believe protectionism is not going to play to the benefit of the greater societal needs. Mm-hmm. It will be actually, in my opinion, in many cases, will be a negative move. Why do I say that? Well, one, because the world has developed and developing countries, okay? We hope everybody's developed, but we are not developed like that. Developing countries are normally the ones that exploit the resources in geographical resources, geological resources. They have the mines, they have, and they do that. The developed countries, they might have that, but they're not exploiting it because they can buy from the others. and they can buy from them, and they have the capital and the knowledge and the capabilities and the resources to transform these materials into products for people. So it sounds funny, but yes, I buy from you materials, I transform them in products, and I send them back to you as finished products for your use. And that is what has happened up to now. So nobody will be able to, we need to keep in mind that nobody will be able today or in the short term to supply, transform, and deliver products out there. And if we do that in a protectionist environment, where I'm doing that only for my people, so I develop my industry, I'm reducing my market, by mathematically reducing my market because I'm targeting only or mainly to people. I am reducing my throughput. I'm reducing the effect of manufacturing and industrialization in the GDP and the growth of the country, and I am making a big mistake. Okay, and that's the way Gustavo says, this is a mistake. So where is the solution? The solution is not in closing doors or being too free that other people control our things. The solutions in between, but this is a big range. So where do we need to be? I submit that every country, important country playing a role, and even every country in general, doesn't need to be an important country on the throughput of a production throughput in the globe. Every country should have a well-defined industrialization strategy and understand to what extent we are a competitive player in the global scenario. Where do we play? Where do we need to develop new skills? Where do we need to develop new sources of growth, et cetera, very clearly. And that includes that we should be able to import and export from everywhere. Now, I have other thoughts on this area. We can take the whole time.
But I completely agree with you. Like the protectionism doesn't sound like it's, it sort of defeats all business and economic principles that we have always learned, about resources moving from areas of higher concentration to lower, economies of scale, or, if you're going to close your borders, all these basic economic principles are going to be turned upside down. However, what you talked about, sort of giving countries an opportunity for now assess what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. Maybe, just maybe, that is the only silver lining in protectionism, where you see smaller countries, medium-sized countries now say, oh, let's try to fill for our skill gap. And maybe, just maybe, they become self-sufficient as well, because the contra to protectionism is also self-sufficiency, right? So I think in the short term, these countries will get hit, but maybe in the long term, they have benefits.
You're using an interesting word, self-sufficiency. It doesn't exist 100%. It is a good idea. It's a good strategy to drive towards. But self-inclusive economies will break down. It will not be sustaining. It's not a sustaining model. Growth will be stagnant. Let's say big countries that have other problems, socioeconomic problems with population, or demographic problems like China, that is lacking workforce, and every day more. And other countries that are not there, but they're thriving there because they want to control the number of people in the region. And all these things will stagnate the growth. And we will need to be forced to reopen outside. So I think today, before this happens, maybe what I'm saying will never happen. Hopefully it never happens. But before something like that start being the trend, we should work on new global trade rules. And those rules will need to be some that promote free and the real concept of competitiveness. We cannot let tariffs and duties be the reason why we don't buy or buy something. It has to be that we buy things that provide the value creation that we need when we acquire a goods or a service. And today is with all these tariff wars and all these sanctions, and we are weaponizing something that that is so. I'm going back to my first question. and they are so intimately connected and correlating to prosperity. So if the bigger picture is prosperity for the globe, we should play out of this selfishness of controlling with tariffs, imports and exports, and provide goods and services that add value to people across the globe. That would be the good play. But, you know, that's Gustavo's utopical, you can call it if you want to,
Absolutely.
opinion.
Okay, but I much appreciate Gustavo's optimistic opinion. That was a beautiful opening to the conversation. Let's take another factor. Let's talk about technology. You know, I see on your website, technology 4.0. It's all over. Of course, you know, if you've been in this space, you're probably leveraging a lot of technology. How is technology influencing global supply chains? What is happening? What sort of technologies are you using? And where are you seeing this make a difference?
Technology is and will continue to be essential on the topic of prosperity and growth, socioeconomic growth, but importantly, the development of industrial development across the globe. Technology is there, and it will continue to be, and it's proliferating every day more and more. I'm talking digital technologies. I'm talking the 4.0 type of technologies. Those technologies are amazing enablers of the work that we do in operations in general. And it will be the smartest thing we can do as supply chain practitioners, operation leaders, manufacturing companies, leaderships, is to embrace and really drive the adoption of technology. I am not in the camp of believing that technology will eliminate jobs. There will be a reshuffling of jobs, yes. And some jobs will require different skills than today. But the jobs will be there. The industry is a people systems. It's not a machinery and technology system. Without technology, we cannot enable people to do the work for the industry. But technology is there to enable us and make us better at what we do, so we can really create also more innovation and provide better services and better products to the globe.
Okay, there's no disputing this, right? Like, I would say 100% of the interviews I've had echo your opinion that everybody says technology is required. I have to understand the supply chains, or maybe if you want to go into operations management or like just, you know, factory organization, what are you seeing as shifts? Like what is possible today versus what will be possible using technology? Could you share maybe one or two examples, maybe of some clients, maybe tech implementations you're doing right now?
Oh, it's a lot of amazing contributions of technology into a supply chain arena. A simple example will be, let's say, planning processes. Planning processes done based on the artfully skills acquired by people, understanding their business and putting down the plan, all the way to algorithms that help us to translate POS data into planning processes, through the planning processes to the throughput plan for the industry. And this is just the start point of this big transformation. Planning, for example, will be done totally database. It will be done totally using algorithmic thinking, not replacing people, obviously, again, because that's a different conversation probably. But it will be an enabler to better, more accurate, and better service to the people that are going to use the goods and services that are being planned for. Distribution systems and vehicles that will bring, for example, in the health industry, medicines to the right place when people are in need of them, in zones of war or refugees management. That type of things will be enabled by technology better than ever individual ever did before. So we will have amazing contributions to health, education, and normal consumption of products in the world, enabled by technology in a magistral way. Then manufacturing, for example, manufacturing is one of the most important, because look at this, every industrial transformation started in manufacturing. And because manufacturing transformed, we had to transform other things around manufacturing. So think about mass production, for example. Think about the use of computing power. Think about the use of the power of data. Think about the creation of power from different means, electricity. Think about all this transformational work. Supply chain is a big thing. And at the core of it is manufacturing, because that's where the transformations happen. So these transformations are going to be enabled by technology in a way that you can count on the fact with less mistakes on quality, consistency, throughput, availability, and supply chain flow of materials. And with that, the contribution we make to society by supplying and providing the products they need. That's why we created SmarterChains.
So precision technology, as this gets better, your precision gets better, and then wastage reduces in the system.
You will be more reliable on delivering what you have to deliver. The quality that delivers a promise of the products to consumers, the availability on time to synchronize, etc. That's why and you see in my website, as you mentioned, that we created this platform exactly for that purpose. To help the workforce in the industry of manufacturing to deliver better and better these type of things in a way that they create competitive advantage to their own industry. That's the purpose of SmarterChains, and that's why we created this amazing product.
Okay, great. Okay, let's talk about what you touched upon. There's a lot of conversation about jobs, no jobs, universal basic income. Sam Altman's like, there will be no jobs. There are people who really think universal basic income will come through. There's a lot of anxiety built up in the system, and you are seeing people getting laid off. So it's not anxiety for the sake of anxiety. There are a lot of layoffs happening, at least in the technology firms. What is going on? You used a very interesting word, reshuffling. What is this reshuffling? Where is it being shuffled from? And where, since it's a supply chain conversation, where is it going from and where is it arriving to? What is the delta you're going to see in the reshuffling?
Well, I think okay, I will go back to the history. History has proved that in every revolution where somehow a new technology is available and makes the work easier, therefore we need less people. At the end of the day, we didn't need less people, we had more people.
Sure.
And the history of employment is always going up in the industry. And why? Well, because the technology enables the reassignment of people in other things. Yes, some people loses their job, but the net is totally positive. And not everybody loses they lose a job, but they are enabled to do something else. And what it does at the end of the day is prepare us for better and bigger jobs normally. So the growth of unemployment is not in jeopardy at all. I think this is a false belief, a natural and understandable fear, but it's not founded on the reality that now careers will shape. Some careers will shape. And that's why the traditional way we teach people to do works or to get diplomas in universities and so on might change. It might change to something where people go more for skills and than for a diploma in a given area, in a given traditional area.
Especially in a sector that you're representing, like when you're talking about factories, and maybe this is a very emerging market view, but like we see a lot of people still deployed on shop floors. And now if machines and bots, etc., are going to come in and what they're doing is sort of very mechanical, repetitive jobs, right? Sometimes it's just literally loading a material onto the plant line. Sometimes it's removing it. So there's a lot of still basic functionality that large number of people in India, Brazil, Vietnam, countries that are heavy manufacturing hubs still continue to do. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to these jobs?
Some of these jobs will be mechanized, will be automated, but the industry, manufacturing is about 14% of global GDP, if I'm not wrong, around that number. And imagine how many operations are in the world. It's more than 10 million. I don't know. I don't remember the number right now. Only like a million or so, 10% of that will be large manufacturing, meaning number of people per plant. And most of the manufacturing operations are small. And those companies will not acquire the automated solution that will eliminate everybody from one day to another. This is an evolution that will take time. In the meantime, we're developing new skills in people, and people will be replaced for higher skilled people that will be players in that environment, and we will continue growing. Now, this is not just a hypothesis. This has been proven in history in every cycle of the industrialization path forward. This one is the most difficult one, because here is, for the first time, we're talking about replacing also the intelligence. So the fear is justifiable that, oh my, come on. So my power was the thinking. Now I don't have
that's not an advantage anymore.
Yeah, but I think that will elevate the game of everybody. The reason why people gravitate to small jobs is because we don't have the capability to really play where we need to play. So everybody, as technology comes along, we will professionalize our jobs, and we will be stronger players, and we'll be able to contribute in the industry in a different way. But yes, some jobs, but again, I'm sorry, industrialization is a big impact, but industrialization takes decades to really transform the whole company. We've been talking 4.0 for what, 15 years now, maybe? And we still fear 4.0. I wish we have done more, because in the days of COVID, if we have done more about it before COVID, we would have been in a much better situation. But we were lazy about it, or we didn't have the resources, or we feared too much of the change, and we were not prepared with change management capabilities to do it right. And we put at risk a lot.
Okay, I know you have a very short time. In this changing scenario, you're saying you're not too.
Let me see if I can tell my guys to wait 5 minutes for me.
Okay, sure.
Am I helping, by the way?
Very helpful. Very helpful. Yes. If it wasn't helpful, I would have said, no, don't worry. We can now close this. It's very helpful. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. They will answer.
I want to talk about skilling. Since you talked about, like, look, it's going to reshuffle. People will move. They'll get upskilled or reskilled. What kind of skilling do you see? Let's speak to only manufacturing and supply chain management. What do you think is going to happen? What skills are needed?
Skills. Obviously, we will. Okay. If we are serious about industrialization strategy definition on a country basis, that industrialization strategy will imply a set of skills required for the country development and growth. And those skills will need to be developed, versus where we are. So that's why I say very likely education in the technical aspect. Okay, I'm talking careers like engineering, science, technology. They will move more to skills and to the topic of concern in the area. It's not going to be a corridor. It will be skills, and those skills will be defined by the needs, more likely, or better if they are defined by the skills, by the needs. Having said that, your question is more generic, no? In general,
are you saying that you're not going to require people to go to college and get engineering degrees? They're just going to skill them at the shop floors and at the factories in specific skills that they need?
I think that the university will be less of a requirement for many of the jobs. It would, but we will have, now people talk about stackable diplomas and that type of things. Maybe that's the direction. I don't know yet. I don't have a strong choice of opinion on that. But I believe stackable will be there, skill-based will be there, but it will still exist in coexistence. There will be diplomas in certain areas. Engineering is one that we continue having. But do you need to have an engineering diploma to do certain work for the supply chain? I don't think so, not necessarily, not for all the jobs. Okay. However, I do believe there are 2 or 3 skills that if we don't start developing and seeding in our young people, we are not building the future we're talking about. This optimistic future I've been talking about is not going to happen. One of them is in the area of how people play their own being in a system of other people, other beings, meaning emotional intelligence. That needs to instill and taught in schools and really enable in the workforce. Second, it would be with that come along interpersonal management skills. Then some other soft skills that I think are going to be required is in the area of adaptability. Adaptability and the ability to buy in. So we don't put in jeopardy the loyalty of the workforce to the organizations where they serve. Analytics will need to be a player. We always like people with high level analytics in the industry to whatever role you are playing. But it will be even more important. And we're talking about correlations also, creating correlations with data and try to play with data be comfortable with data. Those to me are some of the critical things that every single person playing a role in the industry will need to have. Now, the other ones are the blocks of skills that will come from an assessment of the situation of the industry and what are the critical careers people want to have. It can be we should be open to a given player in this global scenario to say, I need 8 million chemical engineers, okay, whatever it is that is required, then it needs to provide the resources to develop that pipeline of skills for the industry to play with. There are a few things that I would like youngsters to really get serious about. Okay, let's take two more minutes. Every individual in the industry should be able to explore, should be able to learn, should be able to discover. And nowadays, a lot of people go in the industry to do their work they do, and they do it mechanically. But are they exploring? Are they discovering? Many of them are not. And along with this idea of exploring comes the concept of bringing resources to the industry that are really good at problem solving, solving complex situations, complex problems.
Okay, this is very helpful. You've given us a sense of future skills. Last question: how is the field of leadership going to evolve? We've all been students of leadership and management. You've been at the helm for very long. How do you foresee leading in a situation where you have this interesting mix of more machine, less man, and the interplay of intelligence being now split between man and machine? What must a leader do in the new age scenario? How must you manage?
One of the most important skills for leaders is, and it's not different than today, is to understand the business objectives and goals and translate it into strategies for your operation. And those strategies turn it into capabilities that you need to bring into the game. This is always been important, but normally we get to those roles and this is kind of done already. The changing environment is forcing us to think about that in a more proactive way and ready to change the game. So really playing on the change mindset, so we can really drive competitive with our organizations. We also need to play a different role strategically than we have played in supply chain leaders up to now. We need to be more into the strategy definition of the enterprise we serve. We need to influence decision strategy choices in a different way, and we should bring into the table the conversations about the geopolitical scenario that we're living in. Today, nobody brings that discussion unless there is interest by one of the leaders, because likes that area or because it feels the area being needed. But it should be CEOs.
Mainstream.
I believe CEOs should expect the supply chain officer of every company to have certain level of expertise in this area and play strategically that knowledge into supply chain solutions before the fact. It doesn't help to react to the Red Sea reactions of problems only. You need to have had a business continuity plan that only gets triggered if you are able to predict a few things. It's very difficult to predict geopolitics, I understand that. But if you think about it, you might have a few tactics and choices that you might take in situations that you don't expect to happen, and you are prepared for just in case, like military do, okay? So there are ways to do it, and we should be the quarterbacks of the companies we play for to maneuver that complexity of geopolitical adversity.
Okay, so you're saying the new age leader should have that sort of information, be flexible, be open to change management. Okay, lots of responsibilities.
Yeah, but we haven't played that role, and we should. We should have had before.
Okay, and also just it sounds like much more openness, ability to just have open conversations, bring out sensitive issues like geopolitics, and have conversations around.
Play a leadership role in the strategy definition and the tactics choices. So you have the playbook of supply chain. You need to be able to say, I would play this play versus that play in this situation. And instead of like, oh, I don't know what to do, let's see, and then we create an alternative solution after the fact. We should be proactive about that.
Okay, great. Okay, I know you have to go.
I need to go, yes.
I know. Thank you so much. This conversation was amazing. It was very practical. It was very honest. It was very structured in the way you shared your thoughts. And honestly, to me, the big real takeaway from this call was just the overarching view in which you view the world. Like what you started out saying, like we have a responsibility. I could see that sense of responsibility that you have so deeply instilled throughout your conversation. So it's really, really, really heartening to know that responsible leadership exists, and there are people like you at the helm of these organizations and helping companies digitize into 4.0, because if the mindset is that of responsibility and well-being, then hopefully the future is bright if it's held in your hands. So thank you.
Hope so. Hey, could you share with me the recording so I share it with my partners in the business?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.